The most wonderful time of the year is upon us, and paired with it is the operations of several Christmas trains across the country. Two of these in years past have always stood out among the rest: Canadian Pacific's Holiday Train and the Kansas City Southern's Holiday Express. When the two railroads would combine as one into CPKC, many wondered how the newly formed railroad would go about this season's Christmas rail operations. I think it was a given that the CP train would continue to operate, but there was an uncertainty for the Holiday Express. Well, luckily for us, CPKC would announce that both the CP and KCS trains would operate the 2023 season. While unfortunately we weren't able to capture much of CP's impressive-looking Holiday Train, we have a plentiful amount of content of the Holiday Express in store for you, ranging from chasing it across the Meridian Speedway, onboard footage, and of course your inside look on some of the work that goes into these events as a volunteer elf. Before we jump into it, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who contributed, from my fellow volunteer elves, the staff, and also the CPKC management, who were absolutely amazing to work alongside with. With all that aside, sit back and enjoy one of my favorite productions yet, CPKC, the Holiday Express Experience. The day after Thanksgiving finds Rudy and his holiday consist prepped for the upcoming tour. Countless of hours have been spent by CPKC employees and volunteers to ensure that everything is ready. Tonight we'll host a private show for employees, but the next morning we'll find the Holiday Express on the move for its first public show. November 25th, the Holiday Express has a highball out of the Shreveport-Bossier City region. For the first leg of its 20-stop tour across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas, the train will be touring the Meridian Speedway Intermodal Corridor, with the first stop being in Pearl, Mississippi, just outside of Jackson. Other shows on the Speedway would include Meridian and Vicksburg, Mississippi, with Monroe, Louisiana wrapping up the leg. Since it was a gorgeous day, we jumped on the opportunity to chase all the way to Pearl. Leading the express from town to town is Kansas City Southern's former business train known simply as the Belle. The train is fittingly named as it was inspired from the railroad's iconic Southern Belle passenger service, which ran from Kansas City to the Big Easy of New Orleans. While the locomotives and majority of the passenger cars still sport the vibrant colors of the Southern Belle, 3 of the sleeper cars in the consist have been repainted into the burgundy scheme of the Royal Canadian Pacific. These 3 include the Vera Cruz, the San Luis Potosi, and the Baton Rouge. The creation of this business train can be credited to former KCS CEO Michael Haverty. During his tenure, Haverty grew the KCS into an impressive system that spanned into Mexico, got his hands in the intermodal business, and of course created the Holiday Express itself. Leading the charge is the KCS 1, 2, and 3. The 1 and 2 are both FP9 locomotives that have been modernized on the interior with dashboard controls and PTC while keeping the classic look of the F units. Rail fans from across the country have always looked for opportunities to document this trio of motors. On this specific chase, we ran into someone all the way from Wisconsin. The Holiday Express is making great time as it is only 6 miles away from Vicksburg, Mississippi. Once in the Magnolia State, the train will only have roughly 50 miles until it reaches its final destination for the day. As you can see, the old business train has no issue at all reaching track speed across the flat lands of the Louisiana Delta. Positioned at the Visitor Center in Vicksburg, we are located at one of the best views the Speedway has to offer. Parallel with I-20, the Vicksburg River Bridge is truly a marvel of this country's architectural history. Construction began in 1928 and would take 2 years to complete. Before being opened in the spring of 1930 to both railroad and vehicle traffic, the only way to traverse the mighty Mississippi River was by ferry. This bridge spans over 8,500 feet and was also utilized for road traffic all the way up until 1998. There was talk of opening the former road section of the bridge as a bike trail, but from what I assume is due to liability issues, this never came to fruition. We see the Holiday Express crawling at a pace of 10 miles per hour as it crosses over the river. Now the train has transitioned onto the Meridian subdivision after completing its stretch along the Vicksburg subdivision. Another great shot in Vicksburg lies just a mile or two down the line near milepost 139 of the Meridian Sub. Ducking under US 61, the CPKC main line utilizes a short tunnel to pass through, where the train will emerge into an S-curve surrounded by kudzu. Closing in on Jackson, the Holiday Express races through another S-curve just west of Clinton as we film from the scenic Natchez Trace Parkway overpass. The train is now in the final stretch of its journey to Pearl. Welcome to High Oak Yard. Despite the Holiday Express's arrival and event tonight, yard jobs and road trains alike are still shuffling through the yard classifying cuts of rolling stock. There's already a crowd building despite another hour before the scheduled start time. Before visitors can tour inside the train, it must be safely spotted and secured. To stay out of the way of active yard work, the Holiday Express will be utilizing the repair-in-place tracks, RIP track for short, to conduct the show. The conductor will climb out of the number 1 to allow the train to advance clear of the switch, so he can throw it and the F units give 2 short blasts on the horn to indicate a forward movement. the switch clear and set, the engineer of number 1 gently shoves the train back into the rip track. During the switch moves, we spot the big man himself. Santa Claus is seen waving to all the visitors who came out early to ensure a short wait in line to board the train. While also spotting our camera, he was by no means shy. Disconnecting from Rudy and his consists, the business train will shove back into the parallel rip track. With the train securely spotted, CPKC staff and the volunteers can begin setting up for the show. So now we're going to go more into depth on the show itself and some of the work that goes into it as well. Volunteers along with CPKC staff board the train into Ramus Yard in Shreveport to serve on certain legs of the tour. I would be on board of the final leg of the tour that would cover 6 locations south out of Shreveport. Our stops would include 4 stops in Louisiana and 2 in Texas. In Louisiana, we had Zwolle, Leesville, DeRidder, and DeQuincy, while in Texas we would stop in Port Arthur and Victoria. I've said this countless times, but volunteering is truly an amazing experience that I have trouble putting into words, but my fellow volunteer here sums it up pretty well.
This is such a unique experience. I wouldn't miss it for the world. To pay it forward, to share some holiday cheer in such a unique way, to travel from town to town and meet a lot of really cool folks, make a lot of kids happy, but also to travel in a piece of living history. To be a part of the Bell and the Holiday Express is unique just for the volunteers because you don't see this anyplace else. And I do it as often as I can and wouldn't trade it.
We arrived to our first show in Zwolle an hour and a half before the scheduled start time, and as you can see, there is already a crowd forming. This was the case with all of the shows on our scheduled tour. The reception of the Holiday Express has consistently stayed strong throughout the over 2-decade history of it. Though before we can allow these people on board, we have to get it all set up. Cones and barriers are the first thing to be set up for protection because this is still in fact railroad equipment, so safety has to be our top priority. They also assist in guiding the line towards the entrance of the train, and once off of the train, they will guide families to visit with the jolly old St. Nick.
What'd you think of it, buddy?
I thought it was pretty cool and awesome.
Good deal.
With all the barriers and decorations set up, It's time for the elves to get ready for the show. With our smocks on and our hats on tightly secured, the green light is given and the show can begin. The crowd comes flooding in and all of Santa's elves welcome everyone aboard. The Holiday Express allows visitors to walk through 3 railroad cars, a red caboose where people will board, a boxcar with 2 model train displays in the middle, and finally a green caboose where children will receive a gift bag full of goodies. Now let's take a walkthrough of the train. There are all kinds of neat things you can find throughout it, and there's a good chance you'll notice something new even after several walkthroughs. To be completely honest, my cameras don't do it justice. I wish you could see the looks on the faces of both children and adults when they walk through that first door. It's truly something you have to see in person.
Mr. Mike, how they been running tonight?
Good. We've had a good group come through and just fine.
All right, good deal.
After touring the train, it's time to visit Santa. Kids can have their picture taken while also requesting whatever toys they may want or drop off their letter if they are a little shy. If you don't get the chance to have a quick sit down with him, you may see him waving from the train as he makes his way from town to town. And for those of you wondering, his sleigh was in for some quick maintenance. Many communities that the Holiday Express stops in are super involved with the event. Many towns bring out various vendors selling items and food truck entrepreneurs. It's amazing to see the amazing reception when this train comes to town, and you can truly tell that the locals appreciate every bit of it.
I actually love this event because it gives the community somewhere to go, like something to do, and then it puts you in the Christmas spirit for sure, with the Christmas music, and then the holiday train. Also, hot chocolate. Everybody loves hot chocolate, and then the kids get to see Santa, and you just have a good time.
Hi, Catherine Bijol, and I own Jolie Art Studio here on Front Street, Kashana. This is my 3rd Christmas train. I love it. I love it. We've had thousands of people that have come through over this time frame to come see the train and see what Kashana has. I made this in honor of the new logo for this year. I love the train.
Along with top-notch work done by the staff and railroad personnel, volunteer work also contributes a huge part of the success of the show. These people are not paid a single dime to do this. This group of elves comes from all over the country and all have various backgrounds, many of which being retirees of the Kansas City Southern Railway. One of these former railroad workers is Ronnie Vale, and this is his 20th season aboard the Holiday Express. Here he tells his story and explains why he keeps coming back to volunteer.
I'm Ronnie Vale, and I went to work for the KCS in 1994, and I spent 22 years with the KCS Railroad and retired in 2016. And I was familiar with the Holiday Express in the year 2000 when it was created, but I held off a little bit participating in it to allow others to participate. But when I saw that others were not as interested in it as I was, I got into it in about 2002 or so. And now this has been my 20th year of being a volunteer on the Holiday Express. I just really enjoy it so much because of the interaction you have with the children. The children are what makes it, although you do deal with a lot of adults and the older people, especially the elderly people, they really enjoy it because there's so much about it that's nostalgic to them, especially when they see the Southern Belle passenger train. So there's just a lot of factors that go into why you enjoy it so much if you've done it as long as I have. One of the things that I like so much about it is when the children come up to you, a lot of them will refer to you as Santa Claus, but you have to make it clear to them that you're not Santa Claus, you're an elf and you're his helper. And some of them are so eager to have that experience, they'll come up to you and grab you around the knees because you're a 6'1" man, and they're little bitty tykes, and they'll grab you around the knees and just hug the heck out of you. And that gets to you. So it's just an experience I've enjoyed for over 20 years now, and I intend to continue doing it as long as I can possibly do it with my health, if it'll hold up.
No matter what the circumstances are, these elves are determined to give the best experience possible, and even when the circumstances are less than ideal, like the rain in Zwolle, they keep the Christmas spirit at an all-time high.
We ordered snow, but we got rain! We do the show, come rain, shine, sleet, or snow. And I'll never forget one of the wettest shows I ever did was in Tupelo, Mississippi, where I wore a poncho all night long. And that happened very briefly in Zwolle this year, but thank goodness it wasn't anything but a sudden downpour that just got us wet and quit. So we were grateful for that.
Volunteer work was crucial in the original creation of the train as well. Several volunteers spent many a weekend in Doremus Yard, painting displays and carefully setting up all the interior decorations, and so much more. While there is a lot of work that goes into it, the memories you make as a volunteer are truly unforgettable. While this is only my second year volunteering, and I do have some funny stories, some of these longer tenured elves have some truly hilarious ones. Warren Califf, one of the original elves, shares one of his favorite stories during his time volunteering.
And tell you one little story if you want a quickie. One night we were in Mexico, Missouri, and a whole group of kids, young people, they were 25, 30, along in there, and they all got to laughing and joking. And so the man who blocked the door and controlled the flow out of the car said, "Would you like for me to hand the baby down that she had down to the elf and let him hold him while you get off the train so you can keep your hands free to use the handrails?" And so she said, "Yeah, that'll be fine with me." And so she handed me the baby, and then they got to looking at the nutcrackers that were standing on the back of the train, and they all wanted to get their picture made with the nutcracker, and they were 10, 15 minutes doing that, and then they all got off of the train, and then they just walked off and left me holding the baby. And they just walk out there about 20 or 30 yards and I'm holding the baby. And then all of a sudden there's this blood curdling scream from the crowd and this young lady comes ripping back over there to reclaim her baby. So I didn't have to take it home with me. So.
I cannot emphasize enough that there are some truly amazing people that help out with this train. From my fellow elves, the staff, and also our new friends from Calgary with CPKC. Throughout the 20 stops, the Holiday Express had a total of 56,249 visitors. That beat last year's turnout by 8,000 people. You know, for some of these kids and families, this train is a highlight of their Christmas season. And also for some, it may be the only Christmas they get. There's not many traditions during Christmas that make such an impact on so many communities as the Holiday Express. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you did, consider leaving a like down below. I hope this video finds you in good spirits, and from me, my family, and everybody else aboard the Holiday Express, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho!